I was a rapid response. I fell really hard, just not able to walk it. We can't hold your position anymore. I only remember they told me that they're letting me go. I no longer have a job. For a week, I just kept crying and crying and crying. That day, my whole body was saying, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. I don't care you have a job or not.
Welcome to Medidia. This is Tariq. So continuing with our resilience series, we have another interview. I always wonder, what is life? What's the definition of life? And then I realized the answer varies for every person, and it depends on your own personal perspective of how you see things, how you perceive them. And that's how you probably define life for yourself. For me, the way I see it, life is a set of challenges to test your strength, your grit, your resilience. On that note, let me welcome our guest, Dr. Anjani Mahabashya. How are you doing, Anjani?
I am very well, Tariq. How are you doing?
Good. So, Anjani, I'm not gonna tell more about you to people. I'm not gonna tell them anything. I'm gonna let you share your own story.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about your life, your journey from med school to today, where you are, what you have endured, and who you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, so first of all, to all your listeners, it's almost 9 p.m. now, and Umar had a really long day. Just 2 hours back, he was doing procedures. And I know Umar for last 13 years or something, and he's been relentlessly working on helping other people through this journey. Initially, he started with only USMLE, and now he's like diving deeper into the real problems people face during this journey. And I am very thrilled that this is a unique channel where he really talks about what actually happens to people apart from medicine. So that is very, very exciting. So with my journey, I would say there will be
Thank
three
you. Thank you
takeaway
for your
points.
kind words.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So you will come in my journey, your whole, your forums and your posts and stuff. So
Really?
yes.
Okay, I didn't know I
So we
was
will,
part of it. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, we'll get there. So with my story, Umar, what your audience will get today would be three takeaway points. The first one is hope, not to lose hope even when you feel everything in your life is falling apart. And the second one is networking. How do you network? How do you build yourself back again? Because you will have small falls, really big falls, but you need that network to build yourself back again. And the third takeaway point will be empathy. So when your cup is full, when you build yourself back again, how do you give back to your community? Who do you give back to is your choice, but giving back always, is very important. And you do it in a different way, I do it in a different way, but everybody has to give back something to the community, because indirectly or directly, the community builds you back, actually builds you from your childhood. So that is very important. And so why I became a doctor is also like, the start point of the story. I lost my father to a medical illness when I was like only 12 years old. And he was my best friend, my teacher, the one who sat and did homeworks with me. So it was very disturbing. It was very sudden. I did not, expect that would happen. So it was a spark of a moment. I took a decision that the pain that I was experiencing at that time, I didn't want anybody to experience the pain I was experiencing. And I just said, I want to become a doctor. I did not know anything. There are no doctors in my family. There was no guidance. I didn't know what financial challenges, like I will have to face. Nothing, like I'm not a stubborn child, but this is the most stubborn decision of my entire life. I want to be a doctor, and that's it. So, and that kind of led to me getting into medical school. And um, like I said, he literally sat down with me and did homework. So I was very emotionally disturbed. I couldn't really cope much in the first year of his death with my school, but I kind of, picked up and I started doing well because I was always a very good student. And I think that was the point I realized that, I had to take care of myself in terms of networking and studying. And, how do I study? Like, so when I was in 8th standard, I would talk to people in 9th standard. and get all the ideas from, like, before I go into night class, I had to know, like, what to do, because I just had to figure out my own life, like, like I was just trying to, like, always be a year ahead to find out what's going on, what other people are doing. And that was completely educational. I really didn't have any life skills, I'll be honest. Now I have, like, a lot more life skills. So then I went to medical school in Hyderabad, and I don't exactly remember why I chose US. I was between maybe UK and US, and I wanted higher education in a broad country. Again, very
So,
strong.
Anjani, before we move there, where did you graduate from? Which medical school?
SVS Medical College. It's like 2 hours from Hyderabad, and it was then in Andhra Pradesh. Now it's called Telangana, I suppose. Yeah, Telangana, India.
And when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2010.
2010. Okay.
Yeah.
And then continue, please.
So I kind of, like, was again, very. I don't remember why I decided US. I decided US again. So this girl was sitting at her desk with her brand new Lenovo laptop, no idea about USMLE. And she opens USMLE forums, and that's when I see Umar Tariq and all his posts. And you were my first introduction to USMLE of, what the hell do I do with USMLE? I had no idea. Like, I absolutely had no idea. And so I knew something called elective. So at that time, my thought process was, I will do an elective. And if I like US, I'll go to US. If I don't like, I'm not going. But when I saw electives, I think I was applying for Harvard, and I got it, but then it was so expensive. This we were talking about, what, 2008, 2009, it was $2,000-3,000, which was a lot of money for me, like a lot. Like, my mom is single mother, so it was a lot of money. So from what I figured from all this internet searching was, if you do your step one, there are some places that can sponsor your elective for free. So then I got into that, like, I started studying for step one. And just before my graduation, a month before my graduation, of course, during my studying of step one, I was applying. And the moment I got my score, I started applying to all these places which accept step one and give you electives without any charge. So like that, I got 6 months of clerkships in the US. So I broke my internship in India and came and did like 5 months here. I had to quit the last month in Case Western University because my visa was expiring. I didn't have like the 6 month full time. So, like, I thought, like, instead of me doing half of it and leaving it, I just told another friend of mine, I'm going to quit. So you take it. And, I left, I came back, I went back to India, graduated. And
Where did you do your electives? Which places were these?
So I did 2 months in Kings County, SUNY Downstate, New York. So in those 2 months, I was really observing all these attendings. I made friends with all the American graduates. I networked like crazy, and I don't know, like, I think it just came from my childhood. And I practiced CS with everybody I could find that in the hospital. It didn't matter you're American, Indian, Pakistani, anybody. Like, any student I found in the dorm, I'm like, come sit with me, practice a case with me. You're my patient today. So after 2 months of doing electives, I was confident, maybe overconfident. I don't know. I went to Philadelphia. My thought process was, I have to finish my electives those 6 months in the minimum possible, finances, because I had to, like, I only had, my budget was $2 to eat. That's it. I didn't have more money than that to eat. And so it was very
So what
expensive.
were you eating with that money? $2 में क्या आता है?
I know what I was eating, because I don't find that damn item anywhere now. So it was this, I was very fond of this Starbucks chocolate cake, what is that, a cupcake. And I never found it after that. So
It was
it was
$2?
$2. Yeah, it was $2. And I ate that in the afternoon or
Okay.
evening, and that's it. And any of these conferences, like medical students have conferences, or other people, residents have conferences. So I would always go to the conference and eat food there. So you have to, like, that time it made me realize that how much my grandmother would be like, eat, eat, eat. And I would be like, I would make 1,000 excuses. You didn't want this food is not nice, or that food is not nice. And here I come to US and I'm like, oh my God, somebody feed me. And I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to turn on a microwave. And I had everything at home, but I just didn't know anything.
Mm.
So I kind of managed, I think survival teaches you a lot of things, and like you figure it out, because my goal was not like, what am I eating? My goal was like, like I came
To
here
get your
for,
electives done. Yeah.
yeah, get my electives done. And so I practiced, like I said, with everybody. I went to Philadelphia on a bus, mega bus, Greyhound, Joby, whatever, I don't remember. So I went to Philadelphia. I asked a senior from my medical school, if I could just stay that night with her, because the next day was CS in Philadelphia. And I gave my exam. From there, I had to go to Long Island, North Shore Long Island University for another elective. So those were 3 months in New York area. And then I went to Cleveland Clinic, Ohio. There I did 2 months. And that was when I had to leave Case Western and go back to India. So I had passed my CS, and, I finished my step one and CS by then, went back, graduated, and I felt very sick as soon as I got back to India. I didn't know that, your GI will become like very you. So nobody could figure out why I was sick in India, like, like the typhoid, the whole panel, everything.
Oh,
And,
wow.
like in India, like nobody understands, like, they're like just treating you. And it took me about a month and a half to get better. And because I was eating so much of chocolate cupcakes, I had a proper cavity, the dental procedure. Like like I was like, oh my God, you learn so many things when you come here. Also, you go
Mm-hmm.
through these petty issues which hinder your, like hinder you in one way or the other. It's a nuisance, right? So, and then yeah, I was in a hurry, obviously, because I wanted to apply that year. And then I took my CK, right? CK step two, CK.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
CK.
yeah, I have self-diagnosed dementia, Umar. So yeah, so CK I finished and I applied that year. Again, I didn't have a lot of money at all, so I applied for 30 programs. I got 5 interviews and came back. So when I was doing my clerkship in Cleveland Clinic, again, I networked a lot. And I had already arranged an observership for the interview season in Cleveland Clinic while I was there, because I was doing in that department, gastroenterology. So I went and spoke to the coordinator and I said, I want to come back for an observership. Please, these are the months I plan to come back. And she said, okay, fill up this application. And I got accepted. So it was a lot easier once I was here to arrange these things, rather than, like all the hard work I did in India to get these electives. So I came back, I was interviewing, I was also doing this, the observership. I don't quite remember if I did the cardiology research this year or the next match year, because I didn't match that year. I didn't have
Oh,
so
you
much
didn't
money.
match. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't match
Which
that year.
year was this?
This was 2010, the year
So
I
you
graduated. I
okay,
applied.
so you applied for residency in 2010 for 2011 residency match and you weren't unmatched. Okay.
Yes, I
So
didn't
then what
match.
happened?
So 2010, I again, that knowledge gap. I didn't know between J1, H1. I just applied for H1 programs. I applied for 30 and I got like 5 interviews, and
Yeah.
all of them were H1. So then I was like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Like obviously you don't know, like you're learning, you're trying to figure out, or you think that you would give it, or it doesn't happen. So it was very difficult, because I was really like, I was borrowing money from my cousins, my friends, because it was getting so expensive, like the whole process of staying here. I was really trying to curb the expenses, but there's only so much you can do in US. And so I went back to India and finished my step three then. And I think I did a research in Wayne State and Michigan, and also an observership in Sparrow Hospital in Michigan. Meanwhile, in that next match season, तब तक अकल ठीक हो गया था between J1 and H1. So I understood what the difference was. Or like the reality hits you ki, you have to like be realistic and actually know things, right? So next match I applied again, not to a lot of programs. I would probably say 50, 60, and this time I split between J1 and H1,
And H1, okay.
and I got interviewed. The first interview I scheduled was McLaren Hospital, Flint, Michigan. And that evening they offered me pre-match and I just took it. Like, I was like, I'm not, that was my first interview. I just took it. I was like, I'm not risking this. I don't want anything, like, because I had, honestly, I can tell you, like, I had $13,000 alone, like, because I was staying here for so many months. I was writing exams and, like all my flights and everything, was borrowing money from here and there. And like, like you stay in dorms are so expensive. New York was so expensive. So I'm like, you know what, this is not happening. I'm not going to like risk. Before 2-3 years, I was dealing with USMLE and I'm like, no, I'm just taking it. So that was obviously the first turning point.
So you matched in 2011.
2011 started in 2012, right?
So
Like
yeah. So
so I
once
can,
they once they offered you the match, what did you do? Did you go back to India?
um, I had few more interviews that I did not attend. I canceled everything. Um, yeah, there was something that I had to take care of in the US, so I had to take care of a family member. So I stayed back. I tried to help them out, and then I was also doing a research. So I did that, and I went back to India for a period of time where you have to get your J1 stamping and
Sure.
everything done. Um, I
Then how
think
was residency?
uh nice, hectic, you learn a lot. So hectic, learn a lot, but again, like, I also saw like other friends from other programs, and I did my rotations in New York. So I definitely feel, compared to a lot of people, I'm quite blessed with, the residency program. They had a good structure in terms of, they enough time to study, not like just kill you with like seeing 10-15 patients. We had like a good balance of education and the the senses and see, I'm losing track of all the words, my god, like the senses and I think the studying part. So like it was good. A lot of diverse people, and I made a lot of friends from other countries. That really helps. They're still my friends, so I'm very, very proud of it.
I think
One
it broadens your mindset, right?
Yes.
दिमाग
Yeah.
खुल जाता है आपका. Like you learn their other cultures, other languages, other ways of living life,
Yes.
and other challenges, other difficulties.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own challenges. So Anjani, let's talk about this. So you started residency 2012,
Mm-hmm.
internship,
Yeah.
or uske baad then you graduated 2015 from your residency.
2015, and then I had to do waiver because I was in J1.
Okay, where were you doing your waiver?
Iowa.
Iowa. Oh, close to
Yeah.
us in Chicago, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting. So then you did your waiver. Okay, and when did your waiver finish?
2018. 2
2018.
years.
Then okay. So what did you do after that?
So after my waiver, I wanted to move to Northeast because I think, like, I was more of a Northeast person. And I started interviewing. I usually don't like to interview much. I have a lot of clarity of what I want. So I interviewed at two places. One was Geisinger, and one was East Carolina University, Greenville, East Carolina
Oh
University.
yeah,
So
yeah. I know. I
Widened, yeah,
actually live in.
widened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, widened, right? Yeah. So I like both the places, and I just felt I liked the team more in Geisinger, I would say. For me, like the collaboration between the team members, how they spoke to me and how they treated me, and my boss. I would not trade anything for a good boss. So I really had a fantastic boss. Her name was Dr. Bradley, and I picked Geisinger. It's been 2018 to now. So I mean, like
So
I
you
had
joined Geisinger as a hospitalist?
I did join as a hospitalist in Holy Spirit
Oh,
Geisinger in
oh.
2018, but I only could work in 1 year. I had the injury and things changed after that. So yeah.
What happened? Tell us a little bit about your
Uh,
injury.
so 2018, right? So 2019, just 1 year after
Your waiver.
the hospital, the Geisinger job, I was
Mm-hmm.
only like 4 years out of residency, 4.5 technically, like, but like not complete 5 years, which is usually like, the hospitalist experience they ask for 5 years for other jobs that, you will understand. So I was going to the emergency room. That was my last day of the 1 week shift that, the 1 week stretch we do. And it was Thanksgiving Day. I was on Thanksgiving. I was going to see my patient in the emergency room, and I fell. And I was a rapid response. I fell really hard, and um, that evening, like I was just not able to walk at all. Like I tried to do my rounds, I couldn't. Like I was holding the wall and walking, and the emergency physician said, it's a bone contusion, looks like it, but something was off, right? Like there's so much pain, and I was tying a ice bag, and that night I couldn't take it anymore. Went back to the ER. Like my patients were redistributed and stuff, and I had to go back home on crutches. And when I went home, it hit me then that like I couldn't use the restroom. Like my knee was like all swollen, and I had no help. Like I couldn't undress, and those little things that you do at home. At that time it hit me like, oh my god, like I couldn't get onto the bed. If I was like, how do I get onto the bed with this leg? It's all swollen. And next day I couldn't get into the shower. So uh, for 2 days, it was my off week. For 2 days I was just sitting on the couch, lying on the couch. And my housekeeper came. She had her own keys, and she came after 2 days, and she saw that like my there were crutches there, and she's like, "Are you okay? What happened?" And I'm like, "No, this is what happened, and I haven't showered in 2 days." So, and I'm very particular about all the shower, and like I have to look nice and all those things. So it was horrible. Like I was just struggling so much, and yeah, she helped me shower that day, and uh, I was just not understanding what was going on. And then I started hearing a click, and I knew something was wrong. So I went back to see a physician assistant. I insisted, like how doctors are like, or like you insist, you're like, do the MRI right now, do it, do it, do it. So we did the MRI, like not an emergent one, it was a meniscal tear, and then something bad, like, it added up. And I tried to work. After like 2 3 weeks I couldn't work. I was falling on the left or right, whichever, like, because yeah, I had no sensation on the left side at all. So like I had a pull of the sciatic nerve and all those things, good stuff. So I was not getting better, and then obviously like I changed. I wanted to see some other doctor, and we can figure the diagnosis, what was going on and stuff. And so I couldn't round. I was in shitloads of pain medication, and I'm very sensitive to pain medication, and I couldn't see the screen. I couldn't work. So obviously, like, I had to go on to FMLA then. Um, that was 3 months of FMLA. Towards the end of FMLA, I had a consequential injury in my right leg. So at that point, like both my legs were, like really like not doing well, and everything was just weighing on me. I finished my 3 months of FMLA. I had 3 months of short-term disability. I was running out of it. So 1 month before the short-term disability ends, um, I got a call from HR and my boss that we can't hold your position anymore. We will have to post it, and we'll, we'll have to let you go. But Geisinger does have a policy that they would like I would be out of the disability, but like you still have 6 more months to try for another position in Geisinger if you get better, or if you like, but obviously, you will be out of everything, right? Like you are not on the payroll, you're not on
Mhm.
anything. So I had 1 month, and I think I only remember they told me that they're letting me go. The call was 10 minutes. I don't remember anything else because I shut off. Like I couldn't believe what I was hearing, um, except for not matching, of course, the first time. I never, like, sometimes like you want something, you get it, right? Like you can't take it. Because like I'm like, I worked all these years, I planned everything in my life since my childhood, since my dad passed away, to hear that I no longer have a job. I was like, no, I think for a week I just kept crying and crying and crying, and like think all the walls in my house heard how loud, like sometimes you cry out of that gut. So it was very bad. And then I was like, obviously, that your whole childhood kicks in that, okay, you have to take care of this situation, and like you have to figure out what to do now. And I think that's when I again called my boss back. The whole bargain, denial, all those things happen. But uh, like there was nothing anybody could do. I was not in a position to do anything. I had a big boot on my right leg. I couldn't do PCP. I couldn't do a nocturnist. I couldn't stand, right? Like, like I would fall. Like, if you, I think, in all honesty, if I am here today, like, there is a supreme power that guides all of us, like, no matter what your faith is. And it is a God's timing that there was a physician advisor utilization management role that opened in Danville, Geisinger. But I was in Holy Spirit,
Holy
Geisinger in
Spirit.
Hyderabad. Yes. So, and so I actually reached out to my current boss, and I said, I want to talk to you. Like, I emailed him and I said, I want to apply for this job. And he was really surprised, like he didn't want to take me from some other department, right? Like he was worried about that, I believe. And he spoke to my boss, and like they figured out that, like I had the situation. And he called me, and I only told him one thing, Umar. I said, Dr. Leshinsky, I don't know anything about this job, but if you give me this job, I will work very hard. And I don't know what made him trust me on that sentence. And he set up a formal interview. But by then, Umar, um, आपका एक होता है ना कि like what am I going to tell in the interview? I don't know anything about this job.
Mm-hmm.
So, and before this, all this happened, I was also like interviewing for this role in other places, and everybody were rejecting me. And that's when I want to go back. When I told you that I was only 4.5 years out of residency, like, so that 5 years hospitalist experience was not there. And it was a requirement. I did not have UM experience. I did not have UM boards. Like, I was a hospitalist who was injured. पता नहीं इसको ट्रेन करेंगे अभी, like, we'll train her for UM, and then वो भाग जाएगी 6 months में, उसका ठीक हो गया तो. But like people have their own apprehensions of
Mm-hmm.
taking you in and training you where you don't know how long you'll stay, right? Like, and I was this butterfly. Like, when I was a hospitalist, I would work for like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Then I would go to Europe for 1 week, come back, work, go back. So that year that I fell, I went to 8 or 9 countries. So I just go to country every month. From that to I came to a stage where I don't have a job. I can't walk. It's a COVID year. Nobody is talking to me because it's COVID year, right? 2020. Like, no friends are coming. I was just all by myself at home, no house help. My housekeeper stopped coming because she hadn't, her husband was like, she didn't want to like expose him. And I'm like, I am not exposed to anybody, please come help. But obviously everybody has their own fears. So yeah,
So you endured all this by yourself. You were living by yourself.
yeah,
You didn't
it
have
was,
anybody else.
yeah, it was just all by myself. And sometimes Mina would get me food from outside, but she would just drop it outside the door. But just that, for somebody who thrived on human connection at the hospital, and like who was going to all these countries and living a you know laid back happy life, to just be contained in a four-wall house for 1 year, it drove me crazy. I'm telling you, right? Like, and I talk so much, so like the silence was just deafening. Like, it's so quiet. Like, what would you do, right? Like, even if you like play music, how much more music do you want to hear in a day? Like, the only people I would see was like the physical therapy people, and like I'm like, oh my god, how long will I do this to with physical therapy? So that was my situation. So I think when he agreed to interview me, and I realized that I didn't have any experience, I don't have boards, I just started studying for boards. Again, that whole instinct kicks in where, like you go and find out what is this UM about, you know?
Mhm.
So I went to
So
Facebook.
pardon my ignorance. What is UM?
Utilization management, it's like
Okay.
physician advisor. I'll describe the role, what we do. But so I went to Facebook. I myself didn't know anything. I went to Facebook, Googled it, like, and I saw that there was a group in Facebook where people just like USMLE were preparing for this board exam, not at the scale of USMLE, but like very few people. And everybody had their own agenda, right? Like some people wanted to like go to non-clinical because they've worked for 10 years. Mine was like, I don't have a job. I need a job. I don't have time. Like quick, I need to study the exam very quick because I literally just had like maybe 3 weeks or 1 month for the interview. So I found a study partner और मैंने उसका दिमाग खा लिया. I would be so strict with him. He was so much older to me as a hospitalist, but like I was like, I don't care. Like if you give me a time, you have to come, you have to study, you have to be accountable. I'll be accountable. So like I was very disciplined, and he was like, अरे यार चलता है. I'm like, तुमको चलता है, तुम्हारे पास job है, मेरे पास job नहीं है, तो you have to study. So I think I like when I become very focused, laser focused, like आप senior हो, junior हो, जो हो मुझे पता नहीं, मुझे जो चाहिए, we have to achieve that, like like that's like that is something that I don't know where I got, like my mom or dad somehow, like I just had that. So but I had to get a procedure done during that time, and like I had to reschedule my exam by a week or 2 weeks, or if I remember correctly, because it was clashing like right with the procedure time. And I was like, what, this, like what do I do? Like, should I take care of my health or should I take care of my career? Like, what should I do? Like, no guidance, no nothing. And uh, I think I did the interview first, if I'm not wrong, but before my boards. Because I was studying so hard for boards, Umar, like, like jo bhi material tha, like whatever material I had, ask me a sentence, I'll point out where it is. Like I literally like went through it. Like it's my life or death, right? Like, like a career that I built is like just crashing. I was like, no, I will know every line about it. I had the theory knowledge, and I think with my confidence, I translated it into a decent enough interview. And like when they asked me a question, I explained. I was honest that I don't know. Like, I did only 2 peer-to-peers in my entire life, and I won them. So, like that doesn't translate into 100% of winning, right? When the N is so low, like when you did only two, like it doesn't even matter. So, but I think I could sense that they liked me, like, the whole team liked me when I interviewed, but I didn't know the result until the last day of. So obviously I finished my short-term disability, and the only way I could stay on payroll was I had to exchange the PTO, like that had accumulated, in order to be on the payroll, because I also needed health insurance. I was having a ton of scans or procedure, doctor's appointments, like how things are here, like everything is so expensive. So the last day that I was on payroll, my boss called me, and I was still coming back from Hershey after a doctor's appointment, and my heart was pounding, like, like I was in the traffic when he called, and I was like, what is he going to say? That's my last day. I did everything I could, right? I gave the exam, I passed my boards, I did my interview well, I did what I could to save my career. And I'm like, I just thought, okay, God, I did the best I could in such a short time. And I will leave it to you. And he called me and he's like, oh, I'm going on a vacation. And I'm like, why are you telling me where you're going? I don't get. So, I'm so stressed out. I just want to hear, like, am I getting the job or not? That's it. So I said, like, this happened today. We had this meeting, and I don't know anything about your meetings and stuff. And after, like, that's my boss typically, when he has a good news, he will beat around the bush. And I told him so many times, like, like just deliver the news first and then talk about other stuff. So finally he said, I got the job. And I honestly, Umar, from that moment where I was stuck in traffic coming home, I don't remember the drive at all. I don't know if I drove or I flew or somebody else brought me home. I have no idea, because I was so thrilled. I was so happy. So yeah, that was my last day, and I did not look back after that again.
When was this?
This was in September 2020. So 1 year, like almost a year, I did not work.
And when did your injury start? Like when you got
I
sick?
fell in November of
November 2019.
2019. So like exactly about a year. So
but you weren't able to walk throughout this time, right? Or were
No,
you
I was like
orbit?
constantly in something or the other was going on. So the one condition, of course, like uh, at that time, Geisinger had sold Holy Spirit to Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to, like, obviously bring me here, and which also involved me physically moving here. So I moved from Harrisburg to Danville in November of 2020, yeah. And excuse me. So at November 2020, I moved. I was doing okay in December. In January, my pain was through the roof. Like, uh, and again, I started crying. Like, like I couldn't take the pain. I'm like, what is going on? And there was a suspicion if I had chronic regional pain syndrome, and that was ruled out though. But between the suspicion to the point where it was ruled out, like there was a month gap between the two different doctors and specialists, I went crazy. Like, I'm like, what is happening with me, right? Like, I was in a new job. I had to prove myself. I was learning. My learning curve had to be like really steep. My boss was extremely good. My team members were extremely good. Everybody accommodated my physical therapy and stuff. But there's still a sense of responsibility we have to show that, like, you made the right decision hiring me. So how do you like balance that, right? Like, you're going through so much and you're like, my god. And when I got this diagnosis, I came back home, the probable diagnosis, which was not true, but I came back home. I slept that night because I this is one thing I do when I'm very upset, or when I'm very pissed with somebody, or like when I have to make a very big decision, I don't decide the same day. I sleep through that night and I decide the next day, because that day my whole body was saying, like, I'm done. I can't take this anymore. I don't care you have a job or not. I don't care your whole doctor shit. I want to, like, I'm done. So, like your body's screaming for help. Like I could see that. And then I was like, okay, let's sleep through this night. Next day I called my boss and my voice cracked and I said, Dr. Leshinsky, this is what is happening. And he just immediately put me from work from home for a month to just give me that, it's winter, like it's difficult to go to office, come back, just for something that can be also done from like
Mm-hmm.
a laptop, right, from your own computer. So it gave me a little bit of break to work from home and like wait for my doctor's appointment. Once that was ruled out, I got, like, at least a sense of relief that okay, it's not as bad. So and so again, with all these things, I obviously had to, like, prioritize my emotions and regulate my own emotions so that my dream of being a doctor doesn't crash after working again so hard to get back to track. And I did not take a break for the whole year, that the first year of my work. And I just excelled, Omar. Like, I just excelled. I did so good. I couldn't even believe that I was doing so good, like in a role that I had no idea. Geisinger GMC is so huge, like so huge. How do you build relationships as a new face in all departments? We have to communicate with surgery, trauma, ortho, pediatrics, gyne, like internal medicine. I didn't know anything about OB-GYN, OB, right? Like, and how do I like solve that case, then obviously I need to talk to the attending, like to educate myself what's going on there. So because I couldn't like really make some of the connections, I am trained. So I built those connections, I built relationships, I took time to build relationships, very carefully crafted emails, very cautiously crafted text messages, and that's it. Like, so I think that kicked off, and I knew that okay, after 1 year my boss was like super duper happy with all my performance. Like, I got a 360-degree evaluation that everybody likes my work. And then I knew it was about time to, like, take care of myself and bring back that joy of traveling that I really like. And although like my leg was not really great, and I used wheelchair when I had to in airports and stuff, just to release, like, not put that much stress and stuff. So I went to Switzerland, I went to Paris, I went to Greece, I got some nice photo shoots done. I did everything that I liked. So in my childhood, I was very strict with myself, Umar, and I don't think we should be doing that. I think it's a very cultural thing that, like we torture ourselves a lot and we're too weight and we call it discipline. I think that's torture, to be honest. So pause. I think now I'm way more relaxed, like I buy what I want. If I like clothes, if I want to travel, if I want to eat something, I do whatever the heck I want. I'm very happy. And after I started doing this, to be honest, compared to what I was as a child, like this achievement feels more fulfilling. You know, I did get first rank even as a child, but I was torturing myself so much, not buying anything for myself and सिर्फ पढ़ाई करना है ये करना है first rank लाना है and tortured everybody around me and so it's just you evolve, you learn to share, you not only like build yourself back but you empower others too. And that's the beautiful journey. When you start empowering others, when others are happy because of you, it gives you immense happiness.
So, Anjani, when was the last time you were able to walk on both feet without any help or support or any crutches or any support?
Any support? I think the support kind of slowly came off last year January. I would like either use one crutch or cane just as a balance because of the pain that I was having. But right now I can walk without support, but I have chronic pain. It's a 24-hour 24/7 thing for me. I live in pain now. I understand, when patients like look nice like this but they say they're in pain, you just have to believe that yeah, they are in pain. I have pain right now. So it's a
Uh,
constant pain, but it worsens usually like if it's a lot of exertion. So unfortunately, I'm not able to go back to any clinical work, and my job is completely non-clinical. It's 100% non-clinical with the current role that I'm having with Geisinger.
okay. So you're not able to work as a hospitalist.
No, I cannot. Like it's too stressful. Like even if I like go to some party or something and stand for 1 or 2 hours, which I did like recently, like it just the pain shoot up. And for me the pain to come back to a normal level, it takes about a month, so I don't even let it go that far.
Oh, really? So now you're wearing a brace to keep you.
Just a small arch support brace
Okay.
to balance that foot. Yeah.
So how long did you battle with this physical limitation? Is it like 1.5 year in total?
Yeah, about 1.5 years, I would say. Yeah.
What was your biggest concern during that time period?
Biggest concern,
You'll be jobless. Your career is over.
I think, yeah, you lose your identity, right? When your identity is built at 12 years, when you're 12 years old and your dream, um, everything
So
revolved
you
around
think,
that drive that I
yeah.
had since my childhood. And
So being a
you,
doctor was your
that's it.
identity.
Yeah.
But how did you develop this new identity? You said that you like this identity more, right? Uh,
Yes, I grew into it, and like I really like it now. It's helping patients in another way. Obviously, I work with the hospital. Not really keen on going on the insurance side, and it's a different way of helping doctors, patients. Sometimes you also have to know that like after I took this role, I understood that there is a business of healthcare, right? Like just not seeing patients. So there is a lot that happens behind what you all do as doctors. You work very hard. However, for that to translate into how a hospital functions, physician advisor and utilization management plays a big role there. And like we are that crux, just like the hospitalist is the crux of the hospital. Like this is the crux. We have like the 360-degree view of where we're bleeding, which department is bleeding more money, why are they bleeding, what's going on, what are we also have to deal with a lot of compliance issues, especially with Medicare. You get into trouble, it's just not a good deal. So I think I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be like, helping people, but I help in a different way, and I grew into it. It's a new learning too, right? Like, and honestly, I think I feel good because I've learned something different, like, and there is no up to date here. So you have to learn on your own. And I think I like learning. So I figured out, and this, I think my wo networking ka jo कीड़ा है ना मेरे दिमाग में, this role really satisfies that, because GMC, as you know, is a revolving door. Like people are coming and going. So you constantly have like this nice new opportunity of like meeting new people, networking with them, like you feel nice that you listen to them, you tell, what you do. And because like there's no up to date, obviously you have to network with other people across the country. You have to go to conferences, you have to know what other systems are doing, where are we doing better, where are they doing better, and steal some of those ideas and you so
So
maybe
it's
do
very
better.
interesting to see you so passionate and so happy in your new role. Basically, you saw yourself as a doctor since a kid. You were 12 years old, and you thought that was life for you. That was your identity, and you lost your identity because of your physical limitation. You couldn't go back to it, and now you're like, "Is my life over? Is my professional career over?" But you redefine your life. You redefine your identity, your role, and now in your new role, you're much better, you're much happier than what you were before.
Yeah. And I want
That's
to say
exactly, yeah, go ahead.
also that if I ever write in notes, I'll be a nightmare for insurance because I will write a bulletproof note. And like what I'm saying, right? So I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
right. So I whenever people say, "Don't you miss medicine?" I'm like, you know what? I'll be a nightmare if I go on to clinical side again. So that's a little joke I like to throw around, like because that's only way, like maybe humor is the only way that you move on in your life. Things happen, and how else will I move past of something that was so close and passionate to me, right? And this is how I have to
And you're still in medicine, in just a different
yes,
way, right? So,
definitely.
for those who don't understand, please, very quickly and briefly, if you don't mind sharing, what is your role as a physician advisor, utilization management person? And if you can briefly talk about your nonprofit organization as well, please go ahead.
For sure. So there are three main things I would say. There are a lot of other things we would do. The first thing is we make sure that the patient is in right status, which means whether it's observation or inpatient, because that really um, is important for all the value-based care that happens with the insurance companies, and also the compliance that goes along with Medicare guidelines, whether it's 2 midnight, 1 midnight, what are we doing? Otherwise, we start getting audits, which is not at all a good idea to have. And the second thing we really focus on is, like I said, which department is, having any issues with how the flow is going. Because if the flow doesn't go well, the flow, there's outflow of money. There's no inflow of money. So obviously you have to know, like, which department is bleeding, why are they bleeding. So we are like more like the anatomy dissection class. Okay, we dissect everything, we find all, like, okay, this is doing this department is doing this,
And you
and then
improve
we
the
send out all.
system.
Yes, we
Yeah,
slice all that data and we send it to the department, like the leadership. Okay, this is the issue, deal with it. We don't deal with any issues or any people, like, we are like only like, okay, so I can see what is happening, but I don't like, I collect data quietly. So like maybe I'm the AI of the hospital. So, and
very nice.
the third thing is physician education. Again, like, I'm not coming after you to teach like everything I know, like I don't do that. But like, just sometimes, like I said, we're so passionate about patients that we really feel like, why not, why is this not inpatient, like, but then there is a completely different way the insurance company is looking at, and just filling that knowledge gap in with as concisely as possible for the physician. That is like the challenge of physician education, because obviously nobody has the time to learn everything that I know. But how do you like convince the doctor, and how do you build that relationship? How do you like, bring them on your page that I'm not against you, like, we are together in this, like we both are Geisinger. So we're just trying to like, comply with the insurance companies, comply with Medicare, so that the bills go out faster, we get paid quicker. Nothing is, hindering, nothing is stopping, the flow goes smooth. So I never understood that, the flow is, I never knew that the flow is so important. So again, with my injury, it's a blessing in disguise, Omar. Like, at such a young age, I kind of understood. I saw what happens as in residency, you see what happens in outpatient. That was my outpatient experience. hospitalist, I saw what is inpatient. Utilization management, I really saw like how it is a bridge between what happens in the insurance, what happens in the how physicians are feeling about it, what leadership feels about it, what do we feel about it, how do you coordinate everything, how do you like collect information, how do you use that information for further changes. So those things are like I really feel good. Like I said, I like to learn, I like to network, and this gave me that opportunity. So I hope I answered that question. With that, I will go to the nonprofit section. So the nonprofit happened very unexpectedly, and there's a little story to that. I hope we have time. I don't know if we're like really going too far, too long with this.
Okay.
So,
Whatever you want to say, I want to make sure
so
Anjali
you
gets
know
enough
how
time
like
to say everything.
yeah, with COVID, everything is telemedicine these days. And one of my physician friends, he was complaining that Anjani, my patients did not show up today, and I'm like, like I don't show up to my doctor sometimes. What's a big like doctors are the worst patient. I didn't go to my doctor. Like she was telling me, like you didn't come up, like you didn't come in June. You were supposed to come in like next June. So, so like I just took it so lightly that people didn't show up on the telemedicine. And unexpectedly, I got a message on LinkedIn from one of our Geisinger doctors asking for a donation for Partners for Healthy Community. It's the nonprofit name. And like for me, it was like, it's a Geisinger doctor. It's not a big deal, like $50, $100, just donate and like just move on. I didn't know him. But I should at least know what I'm donating to, right? Like I just clicked on it to see like what is this website about, and it blew my mind. So he actually uses volunteers from the community to coach senior citizens technology who have no idea how to even take a phone call. And we are expecting these people from the community who are our patients, no matter which system, to come on televisits. How? So a simple analogy to that is like, now we actually met in a giant like parking lot, right? The first time I saw you. So um, yeah. So in Giant, if you see, there is the self scan. People like you and me happily go
Hmm.
scan and we like check
Hmm.
out. We have no patience to like wait for a human being. But there are also people who need that human being to check them out. They can't figure out like if it's beeping or if it is not working or did it scan, did it not scan. I sometimes get irritated with it. So imagine people who have not seen that technology in the age that in like when they were our age or maybe younger. So how are they going to like use it? So I was just like blown away that, oh my God, like I didn't think about it, like what happens actually in the community. So I asked him, I said, Dr. Abdul, I will donate money, but can I please volunteer? I just want to like come and see what's going on. So he said, do you want to come this Saturday? And I think it was like Thursday or Wednesday that this was going on. And I immediately went on that Saturday. And I was shocked. Like people had iPhone for 2 years. They didn't know how to take a call. And when I called on FaceTime, she saw her grandson. She was so happy. She couldn't believe that, there's something called a video call, which is so easy. You could see your grandson. You don't have to like wait until he comes and meets you after a year or after 2 years. So, and they started just seeing them smile. Umar, when I was driving back home, I started crying. I was sobbing. I could feel that pain that I saw in that four walls back again, like because these people were lonely as well throughout the COVID time without technology. At least I had technology. So I was just shocked with what I saw and how much love they showered. If they want water, they give me water. The moment I go, they will compliment me. Like, you guys are stingy with compliments. You just go there, like they will compliment you, and they're so loving, they're so caring. They check weather for me, they do everything, and it was just a beautiful experience to like bring them on board with technology. At the same time, balance that out with a human connection. So I think I was able to find that middle ground, and I will be honest with you, um, that helped in my healing. Service helped in my healing, because whenever I went and helped them, like I could automatically feel like, like my pain is better, because if I see somebody happy, then I just become happy. Or if the happiness is coming from me, then it's like I'm like super duper happy. So I think that was a nonprofit. And that completes my whole cycle, because I saw what happens in outpatient, inpatient, utilization management, and community. I saw the whole spectrum of healthcare. And I exactly knows, like, what are the pitfalls, like where are we, like, actually, like, not doing so well. Obviously, I can't fix anything, everything, but like actually knowing that helps you to know how to pull resources to help to make that a better, like we can't do everything alone, but as a community we could do so much. So that's where I am. I gather volunteers, I take them all, and we all go from one building to another. We find out cost effective internet services for the senior citizens. We help them apply for those places and get them internet. Sometimes we ask for funds to get tablets for people who can't afford it. And tomorrow, weather permitting, Danville community. I don't know if you have, did you live here? Yeah, you lived here, right? Yeah. So all the kids of our fellow doctors and people here, they made beautiful, beautiful Christmas cards. Actually, let me show you one. Let me just show you one. So if you see, these are the cards that kids prepared. I mean, look how creative kids can get. These are all the cards that kids prepared for the senior citizens who are probably so lonely, for Christmas. So some of the kids are coming with me. So we all are going to go give them the cards, spend like maybe an hour or something, take pictures of them with the Christmas tree, and help them use their phones to send those pictures to their loved ones, wherever they are, if they have any. If they don't, then we are their loved ones. So that's my whole picture till date.
Cool. So this is all philanthropic work. This is not work, right? You don't
No,
get paid for this. This is just.
no.
And do you feel like helping others, healing them in a spiritual way, uh, is actually healing you? You know,
Yes, yes.
yeah, it's helping you get better. Um, and quickly coming to the giant story, before people start getting ideas, me and you, we just happened to bump into each other in the parking lot, and I didn't know you, and you were like, you looked at me and you said hi, and I'm like, who is this person? And then it was such a nice
Yeah.
coincidence, and we just talked, and you told me that you had used my blogs, my website, and it was nice. So going back, I have some questions for you, and I'm gonna quickly ask them. And going in a sequential fashion. Uh, so, what do you think helped you the most cope with your dad's loss when you were a kid?
Nothing. I didn't cope with it yet.
You couldn't.
I
Yeah.
couldn't.
And then, what was going on in your mind when you went unmatched? How
Oh,
did you survive that 1 year?
I think it was all financial, like how do I like really survive another year? And if I'm not able to, like, if I won't match, how will I pay off that much money that I borrowed, right? Like, of course, like I then started looking for jobs in Maldives. Is that correct? Maldives, like whatever this.
Mhm.
So some of my friends, my college friends were working there. So I think it was mainly like that pressure of debt is, like it's crazy. My God. Oh.
Mhm.
So apart from that, I think that was the main fear, but also I knew that I knew my strengths very well. I had 11 letters of recommendations in that 5 electives that I did, and some of them went directly to ERAS, but the ones I had to, I knew the strength, like I knew how strong they were. I had honors in my electives in SUNY Downstate, and so like I'll say this, that you do your best, like the maximum, and then the universe will open doors for you. Like just some time back you said about healing, right? Like it's not only healing, Umar. Once you start helping others, once you live with the right intention, and you align that intention to do something good for the world, the universe will open doors for you. Like it will open so many doors that you're like, Umar, like God, I don't have that amount of energy, it's okay, like relax, don't give me too many gifts. So it comes to that stage.
Yeah, I think selflessness, altruism, it comes with its own moments of joy. There are
Yeah.
only people who truly practice those, they can
Yes.
identify with those. So, going back, you graduated in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
took USMLE exams. After that, applied for match 2011, went unmatched, then matched in 2012 for the 2012. Uh, Finished your residency in 2015 on J1, did a waiver for 3 years, 2018, then finally you finished your waiver, did your first waiver job, post waiver job. First year, you got so sick, and then next year was COVID year, and you were like handicapped. Even now, you have not fully recovered, and you have your physical limitations. But you rediscovered yourself. You rediscovered your role. Um, you rediscovered your own identity, and of course, you're happier with this new identity. Uh, Looking back, past 12 years, do you think it was all worth it at the end, Anjani?
There's no end, Omar. I'm just beginning. So
Okay.
this is just a start for me.
Okay. So you are very happy. If you have to do this all over again, would you do anything differently?
I would be kind to myself early on. I would be very kind to myself. Um, I would set boundaries. It's very important as a female. Um, Learn to set boundaries, own your power. I would be kind to myself if I have to do anything differently.
Okay. Um, do you feel homesick?
I
घर की
feel
याद
food
आती है?
sick. Food sick. I don't like to cook. I'm a
You
decent
don't like
cook.
it?
Yeah, I don't like to cook. My God, it's like a big task. You know how like the Indian cooking are, right? You need
Yeah.
so many ingredients and एक चीज होती है तो दूसरी चीज नहीं होती है और मेरा दिमाग खराब हो जाता है और मुझे उसको सीक्वेंस भी नहीं पता है कि किसके बाद क्या डालते हैं. So I hate cooking.
So remind me, what's you're from which part of India?
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad. So I had Hyderabadi biryani yesterday for the first time. I tried it. It was good. It was good. So what's your favorite food to eat from Hyderabad?
I'm usually like a dosa person, sambar, like I'll eat sambar every day.
Mhm.
If somebody can feed me sambar, I'm good. I'm a half Tamil, half Telugu, like I'll eat sambar every day. So
Okay. So what do you miss the most about your hometown?
uh
Is it the food or is it something else too?
not not much because I think the drive to like achieve so much in life with limited resources did not really give me enough time for attachment to anything, Omar. Let me put it that way. Like I was always in a rush to do better and better and better, that like I think like that's why I said, right, I have to be kind to myself. I have to give myself time to like form those attachments. I don't think I had that much knowledge,
You
time.
had that attachment for food though, you know.
Food attachment is hunger, yeah. Like you don't need attachment for that. Okay,
Yeah, you're
like
right.
you're like you're hungry. Oh my God.
Yeah,
So
you're right. So what do you think helped you the most in your entire journey?
definitely like curiosity to learn, because like I said, I have to learn quickly. I go crazy if I don't learn something. So I have to learn quickly. I need that curiosity to learn. And I'm not intimidated by anybody. I will network. You're a guy, you're a girl, you're an American, you're Joby, or it doesn't matter. I will come and ask for help. I will say, okay, this is what I need. If you think I'm hitting on you, it's your problem, not mine. I don't get intimidated. I set boundaries. So, you're very clear. I have a clarity of what I want from the conversation.
Mhm.
So it's up to you what clarity you have. So
Sure.
I'm not intimidated at all. So I think all that again, it goes back to like not having that guidance in the early childhood. I had to figure out myself. So like, from 12, 13, I was like, okay, go ask whoever can help you. Just ask them to help. So those two things, curiosity to learn and networking, no intimidation, no nothing. You will learn, like you have to only when you get out of that shell and those fears and that shame, you will learn. It's okay.
Yeah.
Probably
Don't
just
don't limit yourself to a bubble.
yeah.
Reach out to people with an open mind, and how people perceive you speaks more about their personality, their mindset than yours. You know.
Hmm.
So what do you think helped you the most overcome your pain, your physical limitation? You're in pain right now. You have been battling pain for past 3 years now. And I have endured pain myself, and I know one of the biggest challenges any human person can face is battling pain and enduring it and conquering it and continue to live a life, have a meaningful life despite the chronic pain that you have to struggle with?
um, there are different emotions that happen at different times. I'll just say a couple of things. Again, first thing is you always know what your purpose of life is, like you never leave that. You have struggled so much, so you kind of just don't leave that purpose of your life. I pray to my father every single day. That helps. And of course, I take care of myself. I have all the massage equipment that is needed, and I take regular breaks. I go to, if I have to get a massage done, I get it done. There's, like, you have to take care of yourself no matter what amount of dollar it costs, because money is irrelevant after that. If you're in pain, if you're not happy. So I do anything that keeps me happy, and I definitely don't overstress myself no matter how many opportunities I'm getting. I'm like me, like my health, my peace of mind comes first, and only then anything else. So like I'm very particular with what happens on my calendar. I need breaks. There are days, like, so after the TEDx till today I have not done anything, Omar. Like I only, after that was on November 6th, and my decision was for the rest of the year I will not do anything. And only because we have postponed this podcast for 2 years now. So I'm like, I gave you my word I would do it. I wanted to do it. And that's all. So I take care of myself, like it doesn't matter how many things have to stay on hold. Sometimes you have to put things on hold. Like there's a simple thing, you can lodge an arrow only if you pull it back. So sometimes you have to pull it back to go hit that aim, like in a way that you just target it right. So
Interesting.
many things. I do many things, not one.
Okay, pretty cool. Yeah, you're a multifaceted person. So, is there anything that you think that hindered you in your personal growth, personal journey in past 10, 15 years?
I think definitely, like, because I had so much gratitude for a lot of people that who helped me. Definitely that, it blurs your boundaries. You start, it's difficult to say no sometimes. And I had to find my voice back and start understanding what boundaries was. And to everybody who's listening, I want to make it clear, boundaries are not rude. It's not displaying that you're arrogant or anything like that. It's not about arrogance. It is about creating boundaries, like a safe space between me and you, Umar, where your relationship with me ends and I begin. So that safe space everybody has to create, no matter like in what relationship you are in, either it's work or you with your own child, or with your partner, anybody. You have to have that boundary. And I think, like, I was like blurring that, and I was, you have to be very transparent. You have to have a clarity of who you are, and if you try to fit in, you will fit out after some years because you will suffocate. So, so I think setting boundaries is something that I definitely, I'm still learning. It's a process. It's a journey.
It's interesting what you said. So, basically, you're saying is don't make too many compromises for people you love or adore, because at the end of the day, each one of us have our boundaries and respect those boundaries. Don't just
Yes.
become too selfless in your compromises. Thank you. That was beautiful. What's been the biggest high, biggest happiness of your life?
I think like I said, every time somebody smiles at me, I've become very happy. And if it's because of me, and I'm even more happy. And every time people who know my father come and say that we are so proud of you, or he would have been so proud of you, I think that really tears me up, and in a good way. Like, it makes me just very happy that I cannot hear that from him, right? Like, I don't know what he wanted me to become. I don't know. I don't think he wanted me to become a doctor to begin with, because I was very good at math. Now I'm like very bad. So I used to get like 100 out of 100 in math. So, and now, like, if people will laugh at me, whoever listens to this and know how bad I'm with math. So yeah, I think those two things like really make me happy.
What's been the biggest low of your life?
Losing my father.
Hmm. Even your physical limitation wasn't that big.
Because
Oh.
like a lot of things happen because of that, right? And when you don't have your best friend to share your highs or lows, what's the point, right? That he was my everything. So
what do you miss the most about your dad?
I think he was he taught me a lot of empathy. He would make me he would stop by our house where there was a man with visual impairment, and he didn't have home, so he would always make me give food and or money, depending on that. And just those little uh, things. I think he always said, bringing up children is an art, and he those 12 years of values that he's built in me is who I am now. So I think it was very he was very artistic in way he was dealing with me. He used to make me do my homework, take me to the park. If nobody played with me or if the kids were not there in the park, he would like be like that, seesaw, that what was that, like he would do that with me. Or wo jhula hota hai usko karna. So like there's so many memories, not one, right? So when you have that kind of attachment and like something goes away in like 1 second, so it's a lot. You can't. I never, I did not see his dead body, so I think, I don't know how to like process all of that, so it's tough.
Like you said, you got his empathy, his giving, and I think he lives in your empathy and giving. In these moments, you know, you're celebrating him in your these little moments. So, any regrets in your journey, Anjani?
That apart from having that right balance of your compassion and setting boundaries, you learn again, that comes with life, Umar. All of us, we kind of are trying to figure out our life in 20s. If you want me to explain that, like you are trying to develop both personally and professionally in your 20s, you're freaking confused, man. Like, you're trying to like identify yourself, you're moving to a different country, you're like, what the hell is even happening? And then slowly you evolve, you learn. When you learn faster from other people's experience, that is the good part. Otherwise you get like, instead of 2 blows, you might get 4 blows, but you'll figure it out in 30. So but like it's not like a regret, but you I think it's just a learning experience. And it takes time, it's a journey, like to figure out how to find that balance. And even the balance is fluid, right? Like today I feel I have balance, I dealt with the situation well, and tomorrow you have a new experience. Like you'll be like,
Yeah,
so it's very fluid. But as long as you're learning, as long as you're like, you're kind to yourself, you're like, okay, I learned from this, that's fine. So
interesting. Any advice for people in your shoes 10, 15 years ago? If you could go back in time, अभी जो अंजनी 2010 में SVS Medical College से graduate हो रही है, what would you tell her? Or anybody
so
like you?
so just not like medical people, whoever is watching this, especially like young girls all over the world, I would say own your power. If you want to get something, go at it fearlessly. Like give your maximum potential, aim for that excellence, and learn to train people how to respect you, and the doors will open for you. And but then there's no like shortcut for achieving something. You have to work hard. Like so to close that off, I will say that the first day when I told my boss that I will work very hard if you give me this job, till today, Umar, I work the same way. I just exactly work the same way. So,
Very
and
nice.
he like a month ago or something, he made me the chair of utilization management committee. And it's just, you show that consistency, right? Like what are the three things that we as international medical graduates have to improve, would be that um, consistency. You have to be consistent in all these three things. One is competence, right? Like you think that you're good, probably you're good. That is actual competence, how much I know. But how are you perceiving me is a perceived competence. Now how do I like match my actual competence to perceived competence? Is that gap, you have to bridge that gap, whether it's your
You have to
communication
market
skills.
yourself. You have to sell yourself. Just
Yes, you
don't be
have
the
to sell
humble
yourself.
person who's like, Yeah, exactly.
How do you do that? Is it your communication? Is it your dressing? Is it your networking? Is it your, like, what is, like, you have to be humble enough to know, okay, I'm lacking this and I have to work
Mm.
on this so that you perceive me the way I perceive myself. And that's
Humility, you cannot improve without humility. That is one big thing.
right. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So it's interesting. We started the entire episode with the life is a set of challenges, and I'm just thinking in your life, your three biggest challenges have been losing your dad, then going unmatched, not losing hope, not giving up, staying focused, even with all your financial limitations. Making things work and continuing, and then even with all your physical injuries afterwards, you just didn't give up. You're like, no, I'm not going to be a disabled physician sitting at home, or just living a depressed life. You gathered yourself, you tried doing whatever you could with your physical limitations, and now you're happier with your limitations, happy in pain. You're in pain, but you found happiness in pain. You're helping other people with your charity work, and you're healing them while healing yourself. This is incredibly beautiful. And thank you very much for sharing all this. Anything else you would like to add before we conclude this, before we wrap this up?
Nothing else, Omar. I would just say, uh, please give back something somewhere to a person. Uh, Money is a good idea, but giving your time, giving your affection is very expensive, very precious. Try to give that.
Thank you, Miss. That was beautiful. I hope you all learned something from this incredibly beautiful episode of Resilience series. I learned a lot. Um, like we always say, never give up, never lose hope. Thank you much. Bye.
Bye, everyone.